Hey, you came back. That's great. What we're going to do on session 2 is we're going to look at the viewports. Now the viewports are the main windows where you do all your Studio Max work. So what you should be able to do by the end of this session is insert an object, understand the X, Y and Z axes, and pan and zoom within a viewport. If all that sounds complex, it's not. I'll show you how easy it is. Okay, so let's have a look at the Studio Max interface some more. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at these viewports, and these are quite important in Studio Max. Because what Studio Max tries to do is simulate a three-dimensional world. Okay, so you're probably thinking, what does that mean, and what exactly are these viewports? Well, if you look up in the top corner of all these viewports, you have top, front, left, perspective written in them. You can change these, but let's just stick with the defaults for the time being. Now, what this means is if I have an object in my scene, they all look at the same scene but from a different angle. So if I put an object in the top view, I'm viewing it from the top. At the same time, I'm viewing the same object from the front in this window and the same object from the left hand side in this window. And the perspective window kind of gives me a 3D view of things just so I can see what's going on. So let's put a box in. So I'm going to come over to the Create tab over here on my command panel. On the left hand side, the thing looks like a cursor with a little flash of light on the end. I'm going to come down here to Standard Primitives. I'm going to come down to Box. And I'm going to come into my top view. I'm going to click and drag. Okay, and I'll let go of the mouse. Okay, now what I want you to make a note of here is that in this view here, it looks like a box, and that's because we're looking down on the building from above, but we've not actually given it any height yet. Okay, so if you think of this as a map, this is perhaps a bit like the ground plan of a building. Okay, it's not been built yet, somebody just sketched out where it's going to go. Because if you look over here in the front, there's something there, you can just see it there. And likewise, if you come down here to the left hand view, the same there. And what it is we've put this in, but it's only really wafer thin. It's like a sheet of paper in the scene. We've not put any height into it yet. And you can see that quite clearly in the perspective window. You can see like the square that we've drawn out, if you think of that as the plan of a building. Okay, so I'll just come back here to this, and I'm just going to push this upwards now. And I've added some elevation to it. I've added the third dimension. I've added height. So I'm looking at this from the top here, from the front here. So if it's a building, I'm perhaps looking at the entrance here, and I'm looking at the side here. So I'm perhaps looking at the wing of a building or the gable end of the building there. And here is just a representation of what it looks like. Okay, now if things are not quite where you want them in the screen, you can move stuff around very easily. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you actually come down here, and if you look at these tools down here, these let you zoom in on stuff. And the first one we're going to use is the magnifying glass there, and then we're going to use this pan tool here. Okay, so use the magnifying glass, and I can click and move my mouse up and down to zoom in and out, and I can do that in any of the windows. And if I want, I can come to the hand, which is the pan tool, and I can pan left and right. I can just grab the window. I'm not moving the object, I'm just moving what I can see in my world. Okay, so if you like, I'm grabbing hold of the whole map and I'm moving the whole map around. Okay, now one last thing I just want to pull your attention to is down here in the bottom corners of each window. There's a little symbol which shows you where these axes go. Okay, the X, Y and Z axes. And there's one in each window just so you can see which way things are pointing. These will become a lot more useful to you as you get more used to using Studio Max. Okay, but what that basically means, if I'm on the top view here, let me just go to the arrow tool so it's a bit clearer. The Y-axis, which you can possibly just make out there, just let me zoom in. there. Okay. The y-axis goes that way on my screen, and you can probably just make out I've drawn a red line over it, but you can make out that the x-axis is there. So the x-axis goes that way, and the z, because it's in the middle, is actually the height, the three-dimensional one. So I can't see it too clearly in the top view, but if I come back to my front view, you can see they've all changed, and I can see my height, but I can't see my y-axis too clearly. And that all makes sense as we carry on in the next tutorial and start putting some objects into the scenes. Okay, so that's viewports explained. Now, if you've never done any 3D work before, they can be a bit tricky to get your head around, so feel free to watch this video again. Otherwise, go off and do the online quiz. And once you've done that, we'll start on session 3, where we start adding and selecting objects within a scene. I'll see you there.